Pain came for him first, before the fame, before the students, before history remembered his name. They put him in chains and sent him to a barren rock in the middle of the sea, an island so dry and cruel that men were sent there to die slowly. No trial that mattered, no friends, no comfort, just stone, sun, and silence. And here is the strange part. He did not break. He did not beg. He walked that island like he owned it. And within months, other broken men were traveling across the water just to sit near him and ask a single question. What did he know that they didn't? Because everyone on that island felt the same pain, same hunger, same exile, same loss. But one man turned it into iron, and the rest turned it into despair. So what was the difference? What was the code living inside his mind that made suffering bow to him instead of the other way around? Hold that question, because by the end of this, it's going to belong to you. His name was Musonius Rufus, and most people have never heard of him, which is its own kind of injustice, because the men who did hear of him could not stop talking about him. His student Epictetus became legendary. Epictetus taught the emperor's court, but Musonius was the source, the teacher behind the teachers. The Romans called him the Socrates of their age, and Rome did to him what powerful people always do to a man who cannot be bought. They tried to erase him. He lived under Nero, an emperor who murdered his own mother and set fire to his own city. In that world, a man who told the truth about virtue was dangerous, so Nero exiled him, not once, twice. They shipped him to the island of Garos, a place so lifeless the ancient writers used its name as a symbol for the end of the world. Most men dropped on that rock would have counted the days until they died. Musonius did something no one expected. He started teaching. He explored the island. He found a spring of fresh water that the locals swore did not exist. He turned a death sentence into a school. Sailors began to dock there just to hear him speak. Exiles found reasons to live. And through all of it, he kept repeating one brutal idea that his students never forgot. He said that we do not suffer from hard things. We suffer from being unprepared for hard things. And that single sentence is where his three-step code begins. But before I give you the first step, you have to understand something uncomfortable about yourself, because you have already lived this. You just called it by a different name. Think about the last time life hit you sideways, the job that vanished, the relationship that went cold overnight, the morning you woke up with a weight on your chest and no reason to move. Now be honest, the pain of the event itself lasted a moment, but the suffering, the replaying, the dread, the story you told yourself about what it meant, that lasted for weeks. That gap between the event and the suffering is where your entire life is decided, and Musonius built his code to live inside that gap. So here is step one, and it is going to sound almost offensive at first. He taught that hardship is not an interruption of the good life. Hardship is the training ground for it. He used to tell his students that we should actually pursue difficulty on purpose in small doses before life forces it on us in large ones. He made them eat simple food, endure cold, sleep on hard ground, go without, not because he hated comfort, because he understood a law that the modern world has completely forgotten. The muscle you never strain is the muscle that fails you when the weight finally lands. And this is where his story turns dark again, because his exile ended, and he came home, and he must have thought the worst was behind him. It wasn't. A civil war tore through Rome. Emperors rose and fell in a single year, and Musonius, this quiet philosopher, walked straight into the middle of an armed conflict, unarmed, to try to talk soldiers out of killing each other. Imagine that. Blades drawn, blood in the streets, and an old man walks between the armies preaching peace. The soldiers mocked him. Some nearly killed him, and what he did in that moment reveals the second step of his code. But to understand it, you have to feel what he was risking. He was risking the one thing every human clings to, the need to be safe, the need to be liked, the need to not look like a fool. And here is the thing about you. You feel that same fear every single day, just in smaller clothes. It's the message you rewrite 5 times before you send it. The truth you swallow at dinner because you don't want the conflict. The dream you keep private because if you say it out loud and fail, people will see. You are not afraid of pain. You are afraid of being exposed to it. So you shrink your life down to the size of what feels safe. And then you wonder why it feels so small. Musonius saw this coming 2,000 years ago. And step 2 of his code is the cure. He taught that the goal is not to avoid suffering. The goal is to become the kind of person for whom suffering has lost its power to command you. He said, and this is close to his exact words, that it is not he who has a lot who is rich, but he who needs little. Flip that around and you see the weapon. If your happiness depends on nothing being taken from you, you have handed the whole world a leash around your neck. But if you can look at loss and say, I can carry this, then what exactly can anyone threaten you with? This is why the soldiers could not touch him. Not physically, they could have cut him down, but they could not make him beg, could not make him panic, could not make him betray who he was. He had already made peace with the worst thing they could do, so there was nothing left to hold over him. And that brings us to the hardest part of his life, and the third step, and the moment this whole thing finally connects to you, because it is one thing to endure a single storm, it is another to have your entire life defined by exile, by loss, by being torn away from home again and again. Musonius was banished more than once. He watched Rome betray everything he loved. He had every right, by our modern standards, to become bitter, to go numb, to decide the world was against him and quietly give up. He did the opposite. And here is where it gets strange. The more they took from him, the more useful he became. On the island, he taught. In the war, he spoke. In exile, he built a following that outlived the emperors who banished him. It was as if every attempt to break him only sharpened the blade. So what was step 3? What was the final piece? He taught that virtue is not knowledge you have. It is something you do, over and over, until it becomes who you are. He said we would not expect a man to become a doctor just by hearing lectures about medicine. He has to practice. And in the same way, you do not become strong by admiring strength. You do not become calm by reading about calm. You become it through repetition, through daily practice, through choosing the hard right thing so many times that it stops being a choice and starts being your character. That is the whole code, laid out plain. Step 1, seek out small hardships on purpose, so the large ones cannot ambush you. Step 2, need little, so the world has nothing to threaten you with. Step 3, practice virtue like a craft every single day until strength is not something you summon, but something you are. And now, finally, the answer to the question we started with. Why didn't he break on that island when everyone around him did? Because he had already broken himself, gently, deliberately, 1,000 times before life ever tried. He had trained in the cold. He had gone hungry by choice. He had practiced losing so that real loss found him fluent in it. The other men met suffering for the first time on that rock. Musonius met it like an old sparring partner. So here is what you can do tonight, and I want you to actually do it, not just nod at it. Choose one small voluntary hardship and take it on purpose. Take the cold shower, skip the meal you didn't need, sit with the boredom instead of reaching for your phone, send the message you're afraid to send. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but every time you willingly do a hard thing, you are sending a signal to yourself that hard things are survivable. You are widening that gap between event and suffering. You are training in peacetime so that when the war comes, and it will come, you are not meeting fear for the first time. That is how you turn pain from your master into your teacher. Musonius Rufus died having lost almost everything a man can lose: his home, his freedom, his country more than once. And yet, across 2,000 years, he stands as one of the least broken men who ever lived. The pain never stopped coming for him. He simply stopped running from it. And the moment he stopped running was the moment nothing on this earth could own him. The question is no longer his. It's yours. The next hard thing is already on its way to you. Will it find you soft and surprised, or will it find you ready? If this stirred something in you, stay close, subscribe, and let the next lesson find you already stronger.